going on, everybody? Special
Hey,
Saturday edition. Probably one of the final times. Maybe Monday is the last time that all three of us, or uh, tonight only two of us are here because we can't find Al. We don't know where he is. We're gonna keep reaching
where's
out to him.
Al?
But this is probably the second to last Empire State of Mind podcast with me and right now my co-host James
Hey,
Briscoe James.
let's go.
Let's Talk 49ers is his YouTube channel. The link is actually in the description box on YouTube if you want to check out his channel. Figured we just come on here, probably not go a full hour, not too much, but just going into the final week of the season, the final game for the 49ers in 2024. It's a little bit bittersweet. We talked the other day about some of the things we're looking forward to in the off season, and then one of the biggest things I think is just that the Niners are going to have a longer off season than they've had in a long time. Now, you can make the argument that the Chiefs are in the same boat and they've won and they don't have all the same problems as we do, which is true,
hmm
100%. But the Niners are going to have their first real off season in a long time, so it'll give them a chance to get healthy, do a lot of things. I guess tomorrow. I mean, we talked about this off stream, but what would be James? What are you watching? What are you looking for tomorrow in a game that means nothing, in a game that you don't really have to pay attention to?
I'm
Some
seeing who I'm seeing
Go
who produces. Just seeing what rookies are gonna produce. We saw Pearsall do good last week. Hopefully we can see a few guys, even guys we haven't seen this season. There's third stringers, fourth stringers that we might see in this, and they might show out. You never know when it's the last game of the year. These guys are, working for contracts. These guys are looking for jobs, looking for just being on the practice squad. These guys still have a lot to work for. So it's not just going to be, a dead game with nothing going on. There's going to be a lot going on. We have, we could have Garendo have a big game, which I hope he does. And we can have a few other players. There's Cowing, like we were talking about. Um, maybe some offensive linemen that our backups can block for Dobbs and our backups. So we'll see what happens. I think, personally, I want them to lose just so we get that 11th pick. I mean, I
kind
know
of a
it's
weird
well,
thing, right? Yeah.
yeah, I know it sounds harsh, but it's the way it should be because like if we get that 11th pick, I mean that's one more pick more higher, So, but at the same time, if we win, it'd be sweet too because it just shows that we have some talent, like we showed last week against a great Detroit team. If we show we got talent, then we have stuff to build on, and we definitely have stuff to build on. So, looking forward to some people showing out that haven't showed out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking mainly it's the last time we're going to see 49er football till September. So, just kind of taking it all in. I just would love to see a continuation from Ricky Pearsall from last week. I would like to see the Niners manufacture some touches for him. I would like to see them manufacture some touches for Jacob Cowing if he can get his chance to be on the field. If Debo's not playing. Um, Dobbs, does he come back as the backup next year? I think he's a really solid backup. I know some teams would rather have a seasoned veteran be a backup, kind of like your Ryan Fitzpatrick's of years past. A guy that, or even trying to think of another name. Just
Flacco.
Flacco. Yeah, Flacco's a
Yeah.
perfect name. Like a guy who you don't ever want him to play, but if he does play, he can win a couple games for you because he's a veteran quarterback. So, yeah, definitely want to see what Dobbs has to offer. It's been a great thing that he hasn't been seen this year. That means Purdy for the overall has been healthy. I know there's this weird narrative saying that like I think it was from forget the name. I know Al mentioned it last time, but he made this like overarching statement that the Niners shouldn't pay money to a quarterback that's not healthy. And like Brock has only missed like 2 games
Yeah.
in his career. Um, and so that kind of overall statement doesn't really make a lot of sense. I think it was
No.
Brian Baldinger that made the crack. He's been a
Yeah.
little weird with his Niner takes this year. But yeah, I just want to see stuff like that. Um, there's a lot of players not playing tomorrow because of injury, and some of them we might not see again. I'm trying to see if I could bring up the little piece of thing here. Where is it? Yeah. So we have QB Brock Purdy out, Debo Samuel out, Demo out, Burford out, Beal out, and then doubtful Flanagan Fowles, and then we have Kittle, McKivitz, Jair Brown, and you can't see Isaac Yiadom down at the bottom of the screen. So yeah, the Niners are going to be shorthanded. But I mean, it's the end of the season. It doesn't really matter one way or the other.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm with you. A loss would be great because just it's hard to say that, but like I remember making this comment
It's horrible.
in the
Horrible to
early
say.
part of the season or even last off season that like as much as it's cool to see the Niners pick at the top of the draft and have a chance to get elite level talent, when you pick at the top of the draft, that means you suck and that you're no good and that you're a bottom feeder. So in a way, you don't want the Niners to pick in the top 10. You want the Niners to be somewhere in the late 20s or early 30s. But this year, for whatever reason, with health and stuff that's happened out of our control as a team, if the Niners lose, I think they secure the 11th pick. Right outside the top 10, still can get an elite level player. I mean, a starting caliber, all pro caliber player at 11. So that's all we can do now, man. What else?
Yeah.
What are we else can we be excited about other than the
Yeah.
fact that we're
Next
picking up
year.
the top line? Next year is already on the I know a lot of people, including myself, will probably take a content break and then come back near free agency in the draft and restart this thing all over again. But yeah, tomorrow's game to me is essentially just trying to see if guys like you said, like Garendo, like to see him have a strong finish. I would love to see Pearsall continue to get used, and let's see if Jacob Cowing can somehow be worked into the offense, whether it's screens or some manufactured plays. Debo-esque plays. Debo light, type stuff. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. We also got Mustafa in the defense. I saw that stat. He's got just around 70 tackles this season, which is unbelievable for a rookie safety. Especially I don't think he played every game, so for him to have 70 tackles already is pretty good. And Renardo Green's been playing great.
Yep.
There hasn't the only thing that bothers me is there's no players on the defensive line or the linebacker position that really have wowed me. That are young players. I think D Winters shows some promise, but he's not like a wow factor. He's not like the guy that's going to
It's
come
not
in and just,
consistent.
yeah, he's not consistent at all. And there's no defensive linemen that are young. I mean, really, Gross Matos is kind of young, but not really. He's 27, 28. So,
Leonard Floyd
uh,
is over 30.
yeah. So, it's going to be nice to get. I just hope that Lynch and them realize we're not completely rebuilding, but we do need to get younger. We
Hmm.
need to get younger so that when, all these guys leave, Kittle, Debo, all these guys, Trent Williams, all these guys leave, we're ready for it. That's what we got to have is like a backup plan because they're not going to leave next year, maybe even not the year after, but you know, if we have young players now, we won't have to make up for it in 2 years. So,
There's definitely going to be an influx of youth on this team.
yeah.
At least, like Alec was saying, like at least if we hit on 4 to 5 draft picks, that's 4 new pieces on the team that are going to be under 25.
Yeah.
Um, like I said, tomorrow could be the end of a couple people's 49er career.
Yeah.
Debo Samuel is not going to play. Have we seen the last of Debo? Aaron Banks, have we seen the last of him?
Mhm.
Javon Hargrave, I know they lowered his cap hit. Do the Niners bring him back and then add to it with free agency, or is he a cap casualty? Or not even just a cap casualty? Are they just like, okay, we signed this guy. He was supposed to be a difference maker. He didn't do much last year when he played, and then he was hurt all this year. So there's going to be some decisions that are made. I saw a quote that I wanted to bring up here, and it was Kyle. said that after the Arizona game, we will explore every avenue from free agency to coaches to the draft to get better next season. And I think for me and you and even Al, that's exactly what we want to hear. I mean, everything's
Mhm.
on the table, even coaching.
Yeah,
Who knows, man? I had a topic earlier this week, and I was going to leave it on, but I said, "Is Sorensen could Sorensen return?" Just the way things are, the way things Kyle and John do the things that they do sometimes. The fan base will have just this overall feeling of like, yeah, we got to get rid of this guy. He's got to go.
yeah,
And then the 49ers do the complete opposite just to piss everybody off. But maybe it is an option. Maybe him and special teams coach will be out the door. So there's that
yeah,
change. I don't know, man. It's going to be a new team in 2024, and you can call it a rebuild, you can call it a reboot, you can call it a soft rebuild. All I know is that there's going to be a significant difference in this roster.
yeah,
Uh, the core that has gotten us to all these Super Bowls, these two Super Bowls, and these deep playoff runs is not going to be the same.
yeah,
Um, Part of me wants to say goodbye to Debo because I feel like he's taken a step back, but knowing the 49ers and knowing the loyalty to certain players, I have a feeling Devo's gonna be back next year. Just from the
yeah,
at the just in the core of my inside of me says Debo
yeah.
Samuel returns to the 49ers. I don't know if you're feeling the same way.
I don't think. Well, I don't want him on the team. I haven't been a Debo fan in the last at least 2 years, just because I feel like he's a diva. He doesn't deserve to even be a diva because he doesn't play like a Terrell Owens or anybody. I don't know why he puts himself at such a high caliber when he doesn't play like that. Of course, he's done huge things for our team. I get that. I'm not putting the guy down, but I don't think he's as good as he thinks he is. And I think he's lost a step, like you've said, Aaron. And I think we're going to bring him back. That's just the way the Niners do. They bring back their stars, even though he hasn't played like one. But if it was up to me, I would do it like my mock draft did. My mock draft, we had our first 11th pick. We made it, I think it was an offensive tackle or defensive tackle, and then we traded up our traded our second pick and somebody, it didn't say who, because it's a mock draft, for another first round pick. And I would definitely trade my second round pick, and I would trade Debo for a first round pick, maybe even get some more stuff back because it is Debo. You could get maybe a sixth round pick also, or fifth round. But yeah, I would get rid of him. I think Purdy needs wide receivers. He doesn't need this wide back thing. We all know Purdy can throw. He can throw to guys that get open, and Debo just can't get open anymore. We need pure wide receivers that are fast off the line, that can make good cuts, and we need some, T Higgins or somebody like that. We need
No, I
we
know.
need a
We we
we
haven't
need a big
had
guy.
we haven't had what you'd call a legit X
Yep.
receiver
Hmm.
since Terrell Owens.
Yeah.
And you could say that Ayuk he's good.
Yeah.
He's a great route runner. He's got an electric athleticism, but you wouldn't put him in the same stratosphere as any of the top wide receivers in the
No.
NFL.
No.
He's just not that level of player. He doesn't
Not yet.
put fear into defenses like a lot of those guys do. When I think of a receiver who's a legit X, a legit game changer is Kelvin Johnson when he played for the Lions.
Oh yeah.
That level of just like, God dang, we got to double this guy every single game because that changes so much on defense when you
Yeah.
have to go and you have to make a conscious decision to double somebody
Now it's
because
Justin
then,
Jefferson.
yeah.
Justin Jefferson.
So, um, Sentinel just made a comment. The Sentinel Football Channel. He said, "Bang bang, Lambs get bounced out the first round, gang." I really hope so. I really hope
Love that.
so.
Hell yeah.
I
Beat
hope the Rams
LA.
get. Oh man, there's a lot. Them in Detroit. There's so much cockiness,
Huh.
either from the fan base or players themselves this year, and I'm just like, oh my.
The
I will
Rams
laugh.
have gotten the Rams have gotten by like a smidgen. They haven't really. Yes, they have two great wide receivers, but like they are not the team right now.
Yeah, I don't look at the Rams as a team that is going to compete for a championship.
Yeah.
Um, I wanted to bring up something, speaking of Debo, and 'cause, players always deny that things affect them in the past and that they turn the page at the end of the season, but Debo essentially said he was sent into a deep depression after the 2nd Super Bowl loss and didn't talk to anybody for months, and he said losing 2 Super Bowls to the same team has really affected him. So, all this talk about players turning the page and organizations turning the page and moving from one year to the next, I think we can, honestly say that's a bunch of hogwash after hearing what Debo had to say.
Yeah, I think that definitely affects you. I mean, come on. I mean, it's the fact that like he says that now though makes me kind of wonder where he's been at because it's like, okay, you've said, you want the ball and you've said this and that, but if it's really affecting you, man, you need to tell somebody so, another guy can get on the field and play better than
Yeah,
you,
if you're
you
that
know?
psyched out,
Yeah.
you're that mentally I mean, dude, you had to think though, James, after losing that game last year, as a fan base, as fans, we were all dejected after
Oh
that
yeah.
game, and, in my heart, I said, "This team is gonna take a step back this year
Yeah.
psychologically," um, just because of just losing that game again. I, in my heart, didn't believe that this team would come out with the same zeal or the zest for playing,
No.
that it was going to affect them deeply. Did Not only did it affect them emotionally, but physically, you see, here's a difference. People say, "Well, the Chiefs have done to the same thing, and they haven't suffered half as much as the Niners, especially on the physical side." They're right. I don't know what it is with the Niners where the whole team just falls apart and everybody gets hurt, but, I feel like this team's been through a lot the last couple years, and, getting close and not winning definitely must take a toll. If it takes a toll on the fans and it makes us depressed and we don't wanna talk about football till September, there's a good chance that players feel the exact same way.
Oh yeah. If not
And to
worse.
hear Debo admit that, which is something you never hear players admit, is something. Did Debo produce after week 7? Because week 7 when the Chiefs came to Levi's this year.
That's a
I
good
don't know.
question.
I
Let's
I
see.
can't
Let's see. I think we can check that out because that's a good point because guys usually digress once they play a team like that. You know. Let's see. So I got all the
you said
stats per game. So
look at you.
so we start with the Jets. He had a pretty good game. Vikings good game. All right. Chiefs he didn't play. Cowboys the game after the Chiefs he played pretty good. 4 receptions, 71 yards. Buccaneers 5 receptions for 62 yards. Seahawks, he didn't do anything. 4 for 22, 1 for 21 on Packers. So I think it was after the Buccaneers game he went downhill. It wasn't right after the Chiefs game, so I guess it didn't affect him that much. But yeah, from it's crazy though. From all the games after the Buccaneers to the Dolphins game, he didn't have one game with over 25 yards reception or
It's
receiving.
crazy.
So he had 22, 21, 20, and 22. So in 5 games, he didn't have 25 receiving yards.
Good question, Mr. Sentinel. Good question. Very good
Yeah,
question.
very
That's
good
a good
question.
one.
It
Way to
does
be
affect.
interactive for the 4 people that are watching. Thanks for
Yeah.
letting us know. Hey, I got a question. Uh, Speaking of wide receivers, we talked about what we wanna see on the final game of the year. How much was your excitement reignited after seeing Ricky Parasol's last game? Because for me, uh, if you listen to the 49ers themselves and talk about the things that he was going through, remember, he was hurt during camp. He was and when he got injured, when he got shot, he told John Lynch pretty much like, "Hey, John, I'm not injury prone." Like, he was really depressed about it.
Yeah.
This was after he was shot. So, I mean, he was already fighting uphill. And, there's this one TikTok, you guys can go look him up. His name is Sack Francisco. He's a TikToker. He's the most dude, you think I'm negative? Most negative 49er TikToker I've ever seen. He looks super depressed. He's always like, and he just goes out of his way to call. a guy who had a season where he got shot in the beginning of the year, and he's like, "He's a bust, he's a bust. They should have drafted an offensive tackle. He's a bust, he's a bust." And I'm like, you can't make that call so early in a
Not
career.
yet. Not
He
yet.
looked he dude, like, he looked great, and I know the Lions have a bad defense, okay? I think the Lions are gonna get exposed in the playoffs, and they're gonna get eliminated, so
Yeah.
wait. Wait on that, and then we can all laugh all the way to the bank talking about they whooped us. Who was the player
I
that said
know.
they whooped
Um,
us?
who was it? I forgot.
Was it the safety?
I think it
Or
was the safety or Amon Ra, wasn't it? Or was it Amon Ra?
saying how they whooped us. It's like,
Yeah, it's like, bro, you whooped a freaking half a team. Like, come on, dude.
no, but if we make 2 field goals and an extra
Yeah,
point, we win the game, so I
yeah.
don't know
It
what he
wasn't
was
even.
talking about.
Yeah, it wasn't a whooping. That's for sure.
Um, Still no Al. I have no sign of Al on the
Yeah.
premises. I am sad.
Wherefore, Al? Al, phone home.
It's
ET, phone
always some
home.
diva. Yeah, every team's got one.
Yeah, yeah. I think Pearsall killing it last week was great because that guy. I mean, he's been through so much this year, and I just knew he was going to be good because the plays he had for Florida, unbelievable, man. That catch of the year, his last year in Florida. I mean, he made an insane one-handed catch over two guys, and I knew he was going to be good after that because you don't see many guys catch like that. But he has so much above him too. Like he had Ayuk, Debo, Jawan, Kittle, all these like guys that have been on the team, and a coach that hates putting in new players. So it's like he
He
has
does, he
all
really
this
does.
like this giant hill to climb, and he made it to the top finally. You know, he made it. He was our star wide receiver last week, so that's great.
Here's something that really got to me. You'll sit there as a person who likes to tweet, not you, I'm just saying people in general,
Yeah,
and they'll go and even sports analysts, and they'll go and they'll say, Brock Purdy doesn't deserve the money that he's about to get paid. You should not pay him. And in the same breath, they'll take a guy who's been notoriously bad his whole career, and Sam Darnold. He
yeah,
has one good year on a team that has a really good number one receiver and a really good offensive coach, and he deserves to get paid. I just don't. The
I don't get
people
it.
who follow football, even the analysts that we all look up to, people are prisoners of the moment, man. They are
Yeah,
prisoners of the moment. People are prisoners of the moment with the over, a guy like Ricky Parasol talking
yeah,
about he's a bust. How do you know he's a bust? Like he got shot in the chest. He could have died.
yeah,
And he came into the season injured as well. He was having a tough camp. So I just it's so negligible and it's so kind of wild how, analysts and people that talk about the game for a living are can be so kind of just like just flagrant and wild with their takes and
oh
not
yeah.
really it's just it's amazing to me. I don't know, man.
You you know what's crazy too is those same people that are saying pay Darnold are the same ones in the beginning of the season that probably said the Vikings were going to go 7-10 with Darnold. You know, because he was our backup. You know, he was just a quarterback. You know, really they were trying to get McCarthy in, and then McCarthy got hurt, and
Didn't
Darnold became the
Balding didn't
quarterback.
Baldinger say that they should do a complete swap?
Yeah,
Send Brock to the Vikings and bring Sam Darnold as the starter?
it's ridiculous. It's like these same people and in the beginning of the season, I said the same thing though. I said, pay Brock the market value and draft better. Beef up that O line so any QB. Yeah, I mean, pay Brock the market and yeah, amen. But it's like
See,
this
that's a
thing with
smart football
Darnold
fan
is
right there.
so stupid. It's like, do you guys know football at all? Because he's got the best wide receiver league, best one of the best offensive coordinators. Did you see him as our backup last year? He had a good team. He wasn't that good as our backup. So, like, what happens if Darnold lands on a freaking injured prone team like the team we had this year? I doubt he would do as good. I doubt he'd be as good on the Jets, some other crappy team.
From a guy
It's like,
saying he saw Ghost on the field
yeah,
when he was a New York Jet playing against the New England Patriots.
yeah,
Go from that to go from that extreme to an extreme where a guy like Brian Baldinger, a respected person who talks NFL, says, "Yeah, we should swap quarterbacks," or to say that a guy like Brock, who's put in 3 solid seasons, he was an MVP finalist last year. He helped lead his team to a Super Bowl. He played well in the playoffs. To all of a sudden go a complete 180 and say, "Yeah, no, don't pay him, but pay a guy who's been notoriously bad his whole career, and now he deserves top of the market money." And Brock
Yeah,
should be thankful that he's only getting, if he gets 25 to 30 million per season. Like,
that's
who
crazy,
are you? Like, who are you to make
crazy,
that judgment?
crazy. I just don't get it. People are so quick to harp on Purdy when the guy has done his best. You know, he's done the best.
Everybody's had a down year. If you listen to Kyle, Kyle
Yep.
talked about it. He's like, "Listen, we been down our left tackle. We've been down all top our all top 3 running backs have all been hurt. Our ex wide receiver in Ayuk out for the season. Offensive line has been banged up. I mean, Purdy has everybody's been struggling. It wasn't just
And
Brock Purdy.
and then people have the argument to that. They're like, well, injuries aren't an excuse because Jordan Love had a bunch of injuries. Look at Jordan Love's stats. He sucks. His stats aren't even as good as Purdy's. And look, Jordan Love's team is doing way better than Purdy's.
I think
So
Jordan Love is more mid than people realize.
yeah, he's
They
not
get
that
oohed
good.
and awed by the arm strength and the body size and the scrambling
I
ability.
know. And he
When
really
you
isn't
break it
doing
all
much.
down and you watch games, I don't see.
When he's under pressure, he is scared. He
Yeah, he
throws
likes
the
to.
ball wildly, and Purdy doesn't do that. I mean,
Hey, what's going on, 49ers throwback? Appreciate you
yeah,
coming through.
Purdy's had some bad throws, of course, under pressure this year. He had the interception last week, but you know, he doesn't do it every week like I've seen. Not
Sentinel thinks
every
that
week,
was a
but
bounty hit by the Chiefs for Ayuk. It did look like a little cheap of a hit, but hey, what are you going to
yeah,
do?
yeah.
Um, what was I going to ask? So here's something that I saw this. I want to bring it up to your attention. So it this was an really interesting stat. I showed it to you off stream, and it is Al Sacco reporting. He said that the Niners in 10 years, 6 10 plus losing seasons, 10 plus losses, 3 12 win seasons, 4 NFC championship games, 2 Super Bowl appearances, and 10 plus different QBs
Damn,
to start a game.
that's
That is
crazy.
wild. That is
It is.
wild to think.
It is. It's crazy. Like the fact that we have a losing record in that time is I don't get it, but at the same time I do because we've had really bad seasons and really good ones. We're either bang or
Boomer
bust, you know?
bust, yeah.
Yeah,
The
boom or
Niners,
bust.
and I wonder why is that? Like, I don't understand how the Niners can be a team that goes from being a Super Bowl appearance to completely missing the playoffs and having like over $100 million in salary or payroll on the disabled list or on the injured reserve list. So it's a really crazy thing. If you
I don't
take a
know.
look at it, it's really strange. I would love to know if there's some scientific breakdown that we can get from somebody who's a football guru of just why the Niners are so boomer bust.
Yeah.
Um, 2 of those years were in the beginning. So the 2017 and 2018 season. 2017 was a rebuilding year. 2018, we had Jimmy Garoppolo get hurt, so that season was kind of a lost season. And then,
Yeah.
2019, of course, top team in the NFC, we go to the Super Bowl, we lose to the Chiefs. Then it takes us 4 years to get back, but in those 2 years, 2 NFC championship game appearances, both losses.
Mhm.
The game in Philadelphia, if Purdy doesn't get hurt, I think the Niners have a chance to win that game. Do they
Yep.
win the game? I don't know. Do they have a chance? Like where it's not a blowout? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, just by the way we bludgeon the Philadelphia Eagles the following season,
Yeah.
says a ton. But man, that is just crazy, bro, to look at that and be like, man, it is literally either feast or famine with this team.
Yeah.
Um, I want to go back to this comment where he says, listen, pay Brock the market value. That's all you can do. Draft better, beef up that O line. Richard Sherman made a comment about He's like, if I'm the Niners, if it's me, I pick one, two, three, four, all offensive linemen. If I'm the Niners, I'd say like maybe go center and free agency, and maybe free safety. You know,
Yeah,
Free safety is a position I don't think a lot of people realize that the Niners need a guy center fielder back there. Niners
yeah,
have two box safeties that essentially play the same way in Jair Brown and Malik Mustafa. I think Malik is heads and shoulders better than Jair Brown. Jair
yeah,
Brown took a massive step back, and Hufanga, if you want to lump him in there, is kind of the same. I think Hufanga, since he's come back, I think he's struggled. I mean, there's a lot of games where he misses a ton of tackles, whiffs on a lot of plays. So, I mean, there's going to be that decision. Like, who do the 49ers, if they have a chance to bring back uh, Talano Hufanga or uh, Dre Greenlaw, who is it going to be? Personally, I think I know what you're going to say. You're going to see Dre Greenlaw as well,
yeah.
because when he's on the field, it's a totally different team. But yeah, free
Hufungus
safe.
Hufunga is such a good player too, but Dre Greenlaw's on a whole other level.
Yeah, Dre Greenlaw is a game changer. He is he makes the defense uh, a defense that people don't want to face.
Yep.
He's a killer in the run game, whereas Willis is more or Willis, yeah.
Yeah,
Fred Warner
Willis.
is more of a coverage linebacker in the passing game. So they kind of complement each other really well. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, when that game in Philly happened and we lost that NFC Championship game, when we had uh, Aziz Al Shair, I almost said Navarro Bowman, Dre Greenlaw, and Fred Warner. I mean, what a triplet of linebackers that they had.
Oh yeah,
What just a unbelievable that they couldn't have won a championship with that particular group.
unbelievable.
Mr. Joe says, "Pay Brock 60 mil, all down here from here." Not if you actually know how the cap works. That's actually an inaccurate statement because the 49ers and their contracts, Brock's not going to make anything the next two seasons. If anything, he's going to be front loaded on bonuses. And so, no money to sign. No, you're totally inaccurate. The Niners are almost already over $60 million
We
under
have
the cap.
plenty of money. Plenty of money.
At least 60 million under the cap as we speak, and they haven't
If
even made any offseason moves to either extend or bring back players. So that is not an accurate statement.
if you know
Don't,
John Lynch, he is the best, probably one of the best financial gurus in the league.
Mr. Joe. If you want to look up, and I'm not trying to be a jerk or anything, go on X, look up Jason Hurley, freaking send him a message. He'll explain the whole cap to you. Things aren't what they seem, bro. We can still afford to have a good team with paying Brock. So
Yep.
just
We're all
saying.
good.
That's all, dude. The Niners are in good hands. I'm telling you right now. D. Winters did great this last game too. Yeah, he's inconsistent though. That's my biggest issue with him.
He's too small too. I'm sorry, 5'11", 220. The guy is going to get trucked by any good wide receiver or running back.
I'm gonna see if we can get him to join us at the end if he wants.
What's that?
Al.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we got John Lynch, who, he is a marvel with money. That guy is such a smart guy when it comes to contracts,
Well,
keeping
remember,
guys
it's
paid,
him.
keeping guys happy.
It's not John that does the contracts though. It's
Well, yeah,
Parag
but
Marathe.
yeah, but yeah, John Lynch
Bro,
still is the guy.
they never put themselves in a position where they're paying too much for someone who's not going to
No,
be here.
we have a very smart.
There's been some bad contracts that they've signed. I mean, D Ford being one of them. You look at the D Ford situation. I don't know how the Niners got duped into making that trade,
Yeah, it's a lot of
um,
money.
but that was a bad one. And there goes my internet as I'm speaking, fritzing out on me. So if I start glitching, you guys know why. I'm looking at my internet right here. It says it's struggling. But yeah, I mean the whole talk of there not being money to sign free agents, you got to do your homework, man. Okay.
I think one player we paid too much for. I get he's not doing too bad, but Collins, we paid it wasn't huge money, but I think we paid too much for him.
Well, I mean, they
Um,
split the money that they were gonna pay for Eric Armstead, and they went and got 2 defensive tackles out of it.
yeah,
So, I
but
mean, that wasn't exactly a bad move, you
it
know?
wasn't horrible, yeah, but it's still a lot of money.
What do you make of the talk? And I'm gonna ask you this. Somebody brought this up, and I think it might have been even, Richard Sherman about if the 49ers had a chance to bring back, DeForest Buckner somehow, some way, because me and Al have talked about this when we've had our just us streams, me and him. Niners make maybe 1 or 2 big time moves, uh, in free agency. Maybe, you could call them B-level signings. So they're not gonna be T. Higgins. You're not signing like a top of the market free agent, but getting someone like, say, DeForest Buckner on a maybe a 1-year deal, maybe a rental 2-year deal, bringing him back into the fold with a guy like Nick Bosa, maybe drafting on the defensive line, and then all of a sudden maybe you've recaptured the 2019 season. Would you be against that?
No, definitely not. I mean, I think defensive tackles are actually still good when they're old because if you look around the league, a lot of the older ones,
Yeah, like in Miami.
Campbell, yeah,
Yeah,
Campbell, and
Calais Campbell.
all these
I
older
wouldn't mind
guys.
I wouldn't mind a guy like Calais Campbell being I know he's
No,
an older player.
yeah,
A 1-year deal with a guy like Calais Campbell, and maybe you bring back DeForest Buckner.
yeah, we'd be
Um,
we'd be stacked if we had Buckner back and drafted a good D end. We would be stacked because you still got Gross Matos, you still got
mhm. I think
Collins,
Floyd.
yeah, Floyd.
Yeah,
We'd be stacked.
and then they draft an edge and a defensive tackle, and all of a sudden they have this really deep defensive line.
Yeah.
The Sentinel said, "Oh my god, even Defoe has said there's unfinished business with the 49ers." Yeah, bring them all
Oh,
back, man. Bring back
yeah,
Armstead too.
yeah.
Yeah, bring
Yeah,
back
why not?
Armstead. Bring back the whole crew.
Yeah,
Uh, it's going to be an interesting offseason because the Niners got thoroughly embarrassed this year. They played really, really bad, some really bad football. Sherman said it, and we've said it. There's not a chance in hell that Nick Moody is the kicker for the San Francisco
hell no.
49ers week 1 in the 2025 regular season.
If he
There's no
got
way.
rehired I'd say fire everybody. Re
F the
Fire
Niners. I'm not
everybody.
watching football next year.
Yeah,
There's no way.
fire fire everybody if he's rehired. Oh my god.
There's a
He is
couple
horrible.
must-dos. There's a couple must-haves. There's a couple, like, order of importance moves that in the offseason that have to happen. Move number 1, cut Jake Moody. Move
Yeah,
number 2, fire Nick Sorensen and fire the special teams coach. Those 3 in order of importance.
yeah,
Anything that after happens after that is money in the bank, it's awesome, whatever.
yeah.
And then you look, like I brought up the thing earlier where Kyle says that everything's on the line this year. Coaching changes, free agency,
I love hearing
and
that.
dude, that means that maybe they do a check free agency. Maybe
Yeah,
they go with a couple 1-year moves. Maybe they go for it. You never know. Maybe the Niners get super aggressive in this, still draft really strong, do really well in the draft, and maybe the Niners go and make a couple of like LA Ram picks when the
yeah,
Rams went and got that Super Bowl a couple years ago, where they're like, okay, we're gonna bring in Ramsey and we're gonna bring in this guy and we're gonna go for it. We're gonna try to make a Super Bowl run. Who knows?
yeah.
I wouldn't
I
be against it.
I like Bakhtari too. Bakhtari's gonna be a free agent. A few other linemen, sign a lineman, draft a lineman. We could get a stacked O line next year too. If we
Yeah.
really wanted to. Um,
If I'm the Niners, uh it's tough because they need help on the D line and the offensive line.
yeah.
And they're not notorious for drafting offensive linemen high, other than, of course, uh, uh, what's his face?
Staley?
No, not Staley.
Oh,
His run at Notre Dame, McGlinchey, or
oh,
McFloppy,
McGlinchey,
as I
yeah.
like to call him,
Yeah,
McFloppy.
yeah.
So yeah, if I'm the 49ers, then this is just my own personal idea. I say you trade back to 15 or 16, and somehow, if somebody has an extra pick, you fall back into the bottom half of the first round and you double dip. Go and get an offensive tackle, and then get a defensive lineman, whether that's a defensive tackle or an edge player, in the first round. Screw it.
Yeah,
Got to be aggressive. They've got
go
it. They've
for it.
got their biggest issues this year is health wise and issues of massive need are offensive and defensive line. The two
Yep.
things that you build your team from the middle out is always offense and defensive line, and they struggled mightily in both areas this year.
The
So
battle is in the trenches.
it
That's
is.
it.
It always is.
It's in the trenches.
Yeah. Look at Chris Jones from the Chiefs. He ruined two of our Super Bowls.
Yep.
Chris Jones ruined two Super Bowls. He
And
ruined
Aaron.
Jimmy's day and he ruined Brock Purdy's day in that Super Bowl last year.
Yep. Aaron
So
Donald ruined our NFC championship. If we had a good guard, good center, who would
Sentinel,
have?
man, maybe we have to. I'm gonna have to get Sentinel. Sentinel, you go live ever? Might have to get you up on a channel, homie. I seem to
Nice.
think you seem like you have an intelligent mind for football.
There it is.
Let me know. DM me on if you're on X or something. Potential. Sure. Cool. I'm always looking for new talent.
There we go.
I don't mean it like that. I love surrounding myself and others with people that are on like they think with their brain and not with their heart, which is like you can't pay this guy and you can't pay that guy and fire Kyle. It's like no, no, no.
No.
You have to think in a smarter way. You have to break it
Just
down.
don't destroy the team just
Yeah.
because we did bad one year.
And the whole fire Kyle and John thing, I've already asked Jed York. They ain't going anywhere. So
Yeah.
for anybody who is hoping for the downfall of those two guys, it's not happening.
I'm not fond of Kyle, but I'm not saying fire him because there's no other coach that'd be good as him. Nobody even close is good as Kyle Shanahan. So I don't like him, but I don't dislike him at the same time because he's going to get the job done. Um, you know,
Listen, I'm not saying that like they have to be loyal to him forever,
yeah,
but at the same time, until there's a better option out there, I mean, you just got to take as many cracks at the thing as you can until you can't take any more cracks at it. And listen,
yeah,
if a guy like McVay became available or Andy Reid or some I don't know some offensive guru minded and but they see that person if they come to the 49ers is expected to win a Super Bowl
yeah,
like right away because essentially Kyle's the reason that we're not winning. That person would come in with even more pressure because now they're saying, okay, Kyle was the Achilles heel on this franchise for why we're not winning championships. Now you're in the driver's seat. Go do it. And if he
yep,
doesn't, then the Niners look like idiots and have egg on their face because now Kyle's going to go somewhere else and take a talented team. And all of a sudden, he's going to be in the playoffs and doing all sorts of great things. So, like, if you're going to make that move, you need to make sure that you're making either uh, you don't want to make a lateral move. You want to make a move that you know for sure is going to be the move that puts you over the top. So,
yep. And there's no coach on the market like that at all. So
Frank Weber says Kyle will get fired. Yeah, I mean, everybody does
yeah, I say
eventually.
next year if we have another season like this, or we get really far in the playoffs or the Super Bowl and we lose, I think he might be gone
So,
because you got to
Avatar
think.
said that if they win tomorrow, they go to 15. So that would go out the window if I talked about, trying to trade up in the first round. That doesn't happen.
Uh,
But if you
I thought it
go
was
and you
12. I thought it was 12.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I haven't paid attention to it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's 12 or 15. I don't know.
No, but go on what you were saying. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Um,
But Kyle
no, it's
eventually.
yeah. I mean, if we have a horrible season next year, or get real far in the playoffs or the Super Bowl next year and lose, I think Kyle might be gone next year. I mean, because here's the thing about the 49ers franchise: we have so high of expectations, and if he got to the Super Bowl for a third time, or I mean, if he got there another time and lost, I mean, that would just be
Well, it'd
just
be super
crushing,
crucially. It would be so
crushing.
crushing. It would.
Yeah,
Sentinel
you know.
says the reason we're not winning championships is because the Yorks aren't football people like Mr. D was. That's
Yeah,
very true.
that's very true.
They're trying. Their revenue is improved because of legacy. Jed Dork likes money over championships.
I
I'm
love
looking at
that.
Jed
York is a
Dork.
dork. I used to
He is.
chant that when we sucked.
Yeah, but here's the thing about York. York's not even really the owner,
He's
guys.
not. He's
His
not.
parents run the team.
Yeah.
He's essentially just like a nepo baby
The
that gets
puppet.
to be the puppet. Yeah.
Yeah.
He has to go ask mommy and daddy if he can go spend money in free agency, which I think is weird.
Well, remember when his sister or whatever was it his sister or
Oh,
whatever that
yeah,
was
because
like,
remember, Eddie was fired. He had to step down as the 49ers. He had to step down as the 49ers owner because of some scandal in the late
yeah,
90s,
gambling
riverboat
and shit.
gambling
Yeah.
scandal. So Denise
Yeah.
took over. Denise isn't a football person. They could care less. So the Niners went into darkness for ages until Jed took over.
Yeah.
But Denise and Dr. John York are the owners now. In recent years, I think they've become a little bit more into trying to make this team a winning team. Listen, man, I don't know what the real reason is why they can't close it out in Super Bowls. I don't know if it's Kyle. Maybe it's just the fact that we're living in the Mahomes era, just like people lived through the Montana and the Brady era, and someone had to lose. And unfortunately, we're on the other side of that because, like we've said before, these elite quarterbacks, they're not all over. There's four, maybe five: Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Lamar Jackson. Pretty much it. Who else out there can you say can take a team on its back and go win a championship by himself? There's not a lot of them. And say what you want about Mahomes having a bad year. I think Mahomes is, for some reason, I think the Chiefs are going to do really good in the playoffs, and I think Mahomes is going to have a really strong playoff because I
He's
don't know.
just that guy.
He's just one of those players, man. Just like
Yeah.
Brady. They're like, say what you want. We can hate them. We can tell that they cheat and all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, like there was a time when they were living in the shadow of Joe Montana, the rest of the league, and we were winning Super Bowls. And other teams, like look at the Bengals, they lost to us twice in a
Twice.
10-year
Yeah.
span, and
Boomer
both
and
times, and Montana was the quarterback.
yeah.
So
Big Boom
Burrow is
lost it.
down and hurt. Are you kidding me? Don't do
Oh
this to me,
man.
Avatar.
I turned it off. I didn't
Oh
know that.
God.
That sucks. That sucks
Could
big
be
time.
there were great defensive teams that won during the Montana era. That's true. The Bears.
Yeah.
The Bears. Uh-oh. Mahomes is Jimmy G this year, getting carried by a run game and defense and the refs. Oh, we never got carried by the refs, but I know what
Yeah.
you're saying. I'm just being a
Yeah.
dick.
Yeah.
Uh the Chiefs are doing good purely because of their defense and special teams
Yeah.
and the refs. Don't
Yeah.
forget
And
the
the
refs.
refs. And the refs.
Let's be smart here. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the off season as much as the next guy, but I'm also doing content on 49ers and stuff and again on YouTube. It'll be nice to kind of take a little bit of a break after
Yeah.
probably we do a show Monday and do a little bit of a wrap up of the season and the Monday night or the Sunday game. And then of course, we come back for free agency. Things get exciting. We start to get excited about the new season and what could be. That's
Yeah.
going to be fun. And then of course the draft. I guess this will be the first time in probably about 5 years that I'll try to follow the draft a lot more closely. I'll be honest with you, I haven't followed the draft much this year. I'd either had people on that knew more about the draft than I did, or just you know what I mean. Like I just
Yeah.
I we've been so good, I haven't really had to worry about the draft.
Well, yeah. I mean, we went to the Super Bowl last year. We weren't really worried about the draft because we just lost the damn Super Bowl.
It says, see what happens when you don't prioritize offensive line and just give your QB weapons. Same reason the Lambs have
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Burrow was our only hope. Yeah, he was like Luke Skywalker.
Yeah. He was.
Um, help me one. No, it was Obi Wan. He would be Obi Wan Kenobi. Sorry, I
Well, the crazy thing about the Bengals too, and all these other teams that are doing good lately is like, look at all of them. They all have weapons. They all have two good wide receivers.
real wide
They have a good,
receivers.
yeah, they have a good running back. They have good offensive lines. Well, kind of good enough. And then,
Bengals have had a
um,
garbage offensive line for
yeah,
years.
the Bengals have, but other successful teams, the Bills, Ravens, Philly, Chiefs, all these teams have good offensive lines.
Burrow is in the blue
Um,
tent, but walking.
but it's sad to see such a good team go down like we did this year. But at the same time, I shared this post about this guy. He was talking. He was like, "Hey, we had such talk. People talk about how bad we did, but wait till next year. Just wait till next year." And that's the
Well,
same
the
kind of hope I
there's a
have.
lot of people writing off
Yeah,
there's a lot of people writing off this team and this franchise. Um, the Niners need to keep receipts, man. The
yeah,
Niners need to keep receipts. You know, sometimes it works, and I mean, they try to keep receipts last week, and Fred Warner tried to give a big fiery speech, and that didn't work.
no,
Defense got worked last week, but
no,
there's a lot of stuff that you could take as receipts going into next year. A lot of people are saying the Niners are done, they're down, they're not coming back. There's all this talk about the Niners window being closed. So the Niners have all the motivation next year to come out and kick everybody's ass. They're going to
yep,
have a fourth place schedule, which means they're going to get a lot of cupcake games that they can win and pad their stats, pad their record to get another possible number one seed in the NFC. So there's always that. I mean, you have to look at the positive. There's nothing much more we can do right now. We're not in the playoffs. At least we can't be hurt. That's the thing. We can't be
hmm,
hurt this year because they're not in the game.
yeah,
So there's that. That's the only thing I can be positive. Like, okay,
yep,
we're not in the Super Bowl. We're not going to get our heart broken. So, but yeah, looking forward to you know watching the game Sunday and just relaxing and you know trying to
yeah,
enjoy football one last time before the end of the season, and then we have to wait another 9 months or so before we get to do. We get to talk football again for real, and hopefully the Niners start winning games next year because it's going to be a long wait.
yeah, it
Um,
is.
it's gonna be a long wait, but hopefully, the Niners do what they said and make some moves in the offseason, whether it be coaching. Kyle put it all on the table: coaching, free agency, draft. So
Yep,
everything's on the table, and that's how it always should be. They got humiliated this year. They look like schmucks. They look like bums. So we'll see. They're
yeah,
the one thing that, and this will be the thing we can end it on. The one thing that's a little strange, and they've all admitted to, and I asked you this off program, was this whole thing where like they're okay with like having a longer off season. Like they are looking forward to having a longer off season. Even a guy like Bosa. Do you find that kind of weird that they'd even admit that? Like
it
that they're
is.
okay not being in the playoffs because they want to have a longer off season to get healthy. I find that kind of strange.
It is weird, but now that I think of it, deeper, it makes sense because we had such a bad off season or a bad season that you kind of want to relax and replenish yourself and kind of forget about it. That's I think that's what the players mean by wanting
They
a
have
longer
3
off season.
weeks. If you
Yeah,
went if the Super Bowl ends, you have about 3 weeks and then free agency starts.
yeah, yeah.
So
But
they
I
have an
mean,
extra
it does sound weird being such a good team and then saying that. It's weird, but I get it. They'd be pretty disgruntled over this season and want to get it over with.
yeah, those he says those players were lying. Well, yeah, dude, I think the Niners have a great chance.
Yeah.
If they can come out healthy next year and
Oh
Brock
yeah.
can learn, I think Brock having uh who is my free agent target? Um I don't have a player, but free agency I would like the Niners to target free safety and I don't know, here's my 3. Free safety, whoever that may be. Center because Kyle's not going to play a rookie center, we know that. And maybe bring in a guy like DeForest Buckner come to finish, like Cody Rhodes in wrestling, he can come back and finish his story. I think that's what needs to happen. So
Yeah.
get yourself a free safety, get a free agent center who's like a veteran that's been around the league, who's good and can call games and is a really good offensive lineman. And then maybe come in and bring in Defo to see if he can, help us out. I don't know.
I
So
agree.
I agree. I'm talking how the season started, but how you feel. Yeah, it's just weird that you would admit that you're okay with your season ending early. It's just a little strange. I don't know.
Yeah.
Kind of makes me feel like eh, the Chiefs are dealing with the same thing, but they won. You ask any Kansas City Chiefs player if he's tired or pissed off that he has to play in January and February. I don't think they're going to say anything. I think what it
No.
is that they've lost and they don't have a lot of time to recover. And it's a very short time, and then they go right into OTAs and off-season programs, and so they're going to get a full month to relax. A lot of these players, a month and 3 weeks, and then start the whole process over again. So But hey, it's going to be fun. I can't wait. We'll be back next year, me, you, and Al.
Yep, we'll
At
be
least doing
back.
our we'll do at least our Monday thing, and then
We
hopefully me
will
and
be
Al
back.
we'll do a midweek week thing. It looks like next year I'll have my guy. His name is escaping me right now, but I will have maybe one or two maybe new co-hosts
Nice.
through the season.
Gotta add
Maybe
to the team.
Me and Sentinel will work on something. I don't know. I gotta figure something out. Like I said, I'm always open to new voices and new people wanting to be part of things. Wasn't Chris Dolman a center too? No, his dad played for us, and I know isn't he a free agent on another team? Dolman's son. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I don't
Yeah, I know
know.
what you're talking about. Center Chris Dolman of the Falcons. Yeah. Yes. Yeah,
Well,
that'd be awesome.
we gotta remember we got Matt Hennessy too, and that guy could play a part in this offensive line.
We'll
Um,
see.
we'll see.
He needs to stay right where he is as a backup. I don't want to
Yeah,
see him as a starter.
yeah. But he's better than some of our other guys. I don't know.
It's funny that the line, at least in the pass protection last week, looked better than the normal line did all season. One thing I think we should watch out for as we get into the offseason is what's going to happen with Trent Williams. Does he come back?
I don't know. He
Are the
might
Niners
retire.
are the Niners in
It,
deep doo doo if he doesn't, and they have to actually go out and get a left tackle?
it's looking like he's gonna retire though. Like he hasn't played any games, and yeah, he's had some stuff off the field going on. But like, I think he's just done, man. Like, he's not. If he hasn't gotten a Super Bowl yet, he's kind of probably just like screw it. That's the feeling I get.
I hope he comes back because that would change their their off season plans in big time. So,
Well,
but
that's been in my head though. We gotta draft two tackles. Two
you should.
tackles.
Well, if you draft your right tackle, he is your left tackle of the future.
Yeah,
So drafting a right tackle is a must,
yeah,
regardless if he's back or not. So, but
yeah.
we're gonna get out of here. We're gonna get out of here,
All
guys. We'll
right.
see you Monday night, hopefully after the Sunday game. That'll pretty much be the closeout for the content for the year on the channel, at least on my channel, and I think maybe going forward for a while. So everybody, take care. Something I'll be in
Adios.
contact with you about doing some stuff in the future. But everybody, take care. Have a great rest of your night, and go Niners.
Go
Peace.
Niners.